May 23rd, Umatilla County Board of Commissioners meeting to order. Pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning, everyone. I do want to remind everyone that today's meeting is a public meeting and that we do record our meetings, and they are also available online. And when we get to the point of public comment to items that aren't on the agenda, we do ask that you contain your comments to 3 minutes in general. And I'll kind of watch that clock, and we also ask that you please direct your comments to the commissioners and move forward from there. Any awards, recognitions, or correspondence by the commissioners?
None for me.
I just got back from county college, and I always am grateful that I live in Umatilla County and work in Umatilla County with such great people. I mean, every single time I come away with that. So I just wanted to recognize everybody in the county that works in the county.
I think that's a great comment.
Yeah.
Thank you, Commissioner Timmons, for sure. Approval of minutes of the previous meeting, May 4th, 2023.
Second?
Been a motion and a second for approval. All those in favor? Aye. Motion passes. Any additions, changes, or deletions to the agenda?
None for me.
Cindy? Or Commissioner Timmons? Thank you. Public input. At this time, we will be asking for public comments on anything that's not on the agenda. And I think Mr. Price and Ms. Hancock would both like to have a comment.
Thank you. And
You and me both are in the same boat, Dave, so let's make sure we're brief.
okay, well, I promised I would be.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
I'm here, of course, to talk about the age-old problem that we've been dealing with for a year, and that has to do with the FSEC Nolan Hills contested case. And the decision, thank you, Doug, I was alerted and sent a copy of the decision and things like that about a week ago, less than a week. And so anyway, the thing that really bothers me, of course, after reading through the decision, which is about 35 pages, and I'm not a lawyer, and I don't know who any of us are except Doug, of course, but that's very difficult for people like us to get through that. But in the decision from FSEC, DOE FSEC, the main point was that the county ordinance 152, 616, Triple H, and particularly the 2-mile setback was not required on the Nolan Hills project. And it should be. And so I met with you almost a year ago now several times. We talked about that and suggested that you go get yourself a good land use attorney, county get a land use attorney, and file a contested case. And you did that. And I'm thankful for that, very grateful, and I'm sure everybody in Umatilla County is grateful, because this is a very serious issue. It's critical, and it cannot be allowed to stand, because the ramifications, it's not only the 2-mile setback, but the ramifications goes into the area of local control. And that's a very serious subject, not only for Umatilla County, but for the whole state. So anyway, what I am here to do today is to say, okay, we have to look at the next step. And I realize that you people, in talking to Doug and stuff, have not had a chance to do that yet. But the next step would be to submit or file exceptions to the DOE/FSEC, and then that's got to be done by June 12th. And then after that, there would be a hearing at FSEC to determine whether or not the judge was correct in her decision. Okay, now if they come out and say no, she wasn't correct, that, to my knowledge, that's a first. In all the contested cases that were ever filed, I don't know of one where that happened. Now, I'm sure there might be, but I don't know it. So anyway, if that happens and they are true to form, then the next step is the Supreme Court. That's the only step you have left. And it's very important that this be followed through. You cannot let this stand. If this stands, it will impact not only the 2-mile setback, but it'll impact a lot of ordinances in the county and throughout the state. Because if they run across something that they're not particularly happy with, they just pull this out, they use this, and they invalidate the ordinance. So it's really important, it's critical, that this issue be followed up on and followed through. And we talked about last year, recognizing that when you were getting ready for the contested case, this process will not be easy and it will not be quick. And it cannot be done by a person like myself. Now, I represent Blue Mountain Alliance. We do not have standing. You do. And the reason we don't have standing, I'll accept the blame. And just to clarify it in your minds as to, well, why didn't we do something? And that's a good question. The reason we didn't do something is that I had a discussion with the primary individual involved in the land ownership. And in that conversation, we discussed the Umatilla Development Code, and specifically, of course, the 2-mile setback and things like that. And he said to me, this is a one-to-one deal, not something I heard, that they would follow the land use, the Umatilla Development Code. They would follow the 2-mile setback and all the other stuff that's associated with that. I took them at their word. So we didn't do anything else. And consequently, we should have. So that's the reason that we don't have standing and you do. And I regret that. It's my fault, but that's the way it happened. So anyway, we think it's very critical that we do not let this just, I mean, it would be easy to just walk away. But when you look back at the history of this whole, I call it the new ordinance. It's not very new anymore because it was approved by the Board of Commissioners in June of 2011. It was legally challenged, and that took until November of 2013. And we finally got to the point where the new ordinance was enacted. So it was a long process, and there was a lot of people involved, lots of hearings, lots of people, the Umatilla County people, and it is in relation to, and this is a very important point, Goal 2. And if you go and read Goal 2, Umatilla County did exactly what Goal 2 said you should do. And that's how we got from the old ordinance to the new. Now, one of the things that really bothers me is that if this was allowed to stand, first of all, it'd create kind of a up-to-date gold rush. But the thing that really strikes home you got to remember what started this whole thing. And what started it was over at the foothills of the Blue Mountains out of Milton Freewater. And they had the land leased and they were getting ready to go with wind projects on the foothills of the Blue there near Milton Freewater. And people got upset. And that's what started that whole process. And so if this is allowed to stand,
We gotta kind of wrap up.
if this is allowed to stand, then that area is in jeopardy. So I encourage you, go to the next step. Let's see it through.
I have a question.
Okay,
And this might be going right around to maybe Mr. Walder, but goal 2, what exactly does goal 2 say?
goal 2 relates to the state LCDC land use plan and the local, the land use plan at state is kind of an umbrella, and the Umatilla County Development Code is kind of a how-to document. How do you comply? And that's what the connection is, right there. That's how the county did that. And the county fully complies with LCDC requirements in Goal 2. That is never mentioned in the decision at 35 pages. Okay?
Thanks, Dave.
Thank you.
Ms. McClintock.
Oh, I love that, Miss Marlene McClintock from Milton Freewater, and speaking on the same thing. Good morning, Commissioners. And thank you for this time to address the items that are not on the agenda. I understand the contested case regarding the Nolan Hills was rejected. While this is very disappointing, it's not surprising, as there has never been any contested case allowed to our knowledge. This decision needs to be fought by our county at the Supreme Court level, because this has far-reaching ramifications if it does not. We are at the 50th anniversary of the land use laws in Oregon. And now a state agency does not want our county ordinance. We cannot let this happen. This has been flown in our face. This could have many unknown consequences, which he's already talked about. We are asking you to use some of the SIP money to fight this and go to the Supreme Court level. It's going to be a little bit expensive, but we have to get this done. We have to save our land. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for being brief. Just to recap before I ask the comments and questions, and Dave and I have had this conversation, but I think it's great that everybody kind of realizes that it's, the one thing about this decision right now, it's encapsulated within an FSEC citing issue. And I think that you have to understand if it was to be rejected at the Supreme Court level, it would even flow outside of the FSEC. And when you make the comments that we can't let this stand, I wish the commissioners had the ability to not let this stand. There is no doubt about it, but that we don't have that authority. We do have the authority to challenge it. But when you say all of Umatilla County, we also have to take, just today, I don't know if you've had a chance to read the East Oregonian, there's an editorial in the East Oregonian that actually champions and advocates for the state to keep control of the land use planning, with a lot of the same goals that we have, is to protect farmland and to protect other things. And their feeling is that, at least the East Oregonian editorial board's feeling, is that the state's better equipped at doing that than we are. So there are other opinions out there, and then you couple that with extensive legislation this year, whether it survives or dies. There's extensive legislation for energy siting projects, and whether it be hydrogen, whether it be wind or solar, there's a very big push statewide to accelerate the siting processes. And to that end, Umatilla County has fought very hard in all of that legislation to make sure that the local control doesn't fall under the shall categories, but what we like to protect, the may category, may retain local control for these facilities, and we've fought hard for that. There are some counties that want to retain local control to accelerate projects. I think we want to retain local control to make sure that the projects follow the wishes of the landowners. So it's not as clean or clear or as cut and dried as a lot of people would like to make it that aren't sitting where we have to make the decision. There's a lot of other variables that go into this too. And a lot of it, just like all of the 19 goals, all of those were set by legislation. And that's where the true fight will end up. No matter what, if we were to challenge this at the Supreme Court, won't win, lose, or draw, it will be a legislative decision that finally establishes. And when I say finally, it could change with the next legislature. So we also have to look at the expense. There's a lot of people asking for a lot of different things in Umatilla County. This is a very, very high priority to the commissioners. I think that we've shown that in the challenge that we've already spent tens of thousands of dollars on. And there's a lot of other projects that need to get done. So we have to weigh all of those things, not just the thought that we can't let this stand. I mean, I wish we had that decision. So I just wanted to make those comments. I really appreciate the input from both of you guys. It's always important to, and you guys always come in with some very factual and very direct information. So thank you very much. Other comments or questions?
No, I want to thank you both for coming in. I certainly don't want you thinking that your time was wasted this morning, because it was, you hit home with what you said. And I appreciate that. You gave us a lot to think about, and going forward, and like Commissioner Norton just said, we've already demonstrated our commitment to this, and so going forward, we'll see what the cards may hold, but certainly what you said today will impact my decision. So thank you for coming.
Commissioner Timmons?
Yes, I think it's just irritating that the state can step in and step right over the top of the county. That's wrong. That's what I think. And so I very much appreciate your stance, where you're coming from. And I'm like John and Dan, that it certainly gives us a lot to talk about. One of the things when the decision came through that was discussed was it may have to, like Dan said, it may have to be through the legislature that this is corrected. It might go to that level. And so, that might be where we have to go. So I don't know. I mean, I guess we need to sit down and figure out what route we're gonna take. But I know it's very expensive to go through the Supreme Court and paying for it. I think that's gonna be a cost too. So I think we're gonna look at all of our options. But thank you very much for coming in, and I'm like you, it's very irritating. I think it's wrong.
Very much so.
Yeah. But thank you.
I'm getting a text message from Sunny Danforth right now. She's trying to get on the call, so I'm going to try and send her a link to this. Apparently it kicked her out. I don't know if that's the system that kicked her
I
out.
haven't seen
Well,
it on here. I thought
while
so.
they're
I thought I
doing
saw
this,
something.
Bob, can you talk to us about Goal 2? What exactly does Goal 2 say?
It's one of the shorter ones.
Good morning, Commissioners. Bob Walder, Community Development Director. So Goal 2 is the goal that requires local jurisdictions to have their own comprehensive plan and development ordinance. So your comprehensive plan, of course, is for the long-range planning of the county, and then the development code is your implementing ordinance. And so to Mr. Price's point, Umatilla County put together a citizen group and went through the process to amend their comprehensive plan and development code back in 2010, 2011. And so our I guess case was that the county has adopted these local standards and they should be followed by the applicant and FSEC. And FSEC's point was that because our standards aren't explicitly spelled out in statewide planning goal, that they don't apply. So that was kind of where the rub was on that issue.
Perfect, thanks.
That's interesting.
Does that help?
It does.
Okay.
Thank you.
I see Ms. Danforth has made it on the line. Would you like to testify? Can you hear us?
Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Would you like to testify?
Yes, I would, please, thank you.
Okay, just make sure name and address, please.
Okay, Sunny Danforth, 225 Maple Avenue, Milton Freewater, Oregon. Thank you, and I tried phoning in, but apparently that didn't work. And John, thank you for sending me a link.
Gotta love technology.
Okay, well, thank you for this opportunity. I am calling in or being remotely here regarding the contested case on Nolan Hills. And I understand that was rejected. And I'm imploring you to fight this at the Supreme Court. The county really needs to fight for defending our local ordinances and local control regarding land use laws. You know, this is the 50th anniversary of having land use laws in the state of Oregon. And here we are now with a state agency not wanting to follow county ordinances. The county has the right to make codes more stringent than the state. And yet now that we've made one and they are not wanting to follow this. Also, FSEC has never granted a contested case, which is wrong in itself. And I believe it's imperative that our county take this on to the Supreme Court. Some have suggested the legislator can help, but the particular project will benefit a representative, Bobby Levy and their family. I have no confidence in the legislative that they'll help. Look at what's happening right now in our state house. I ask you to please use money that's paid by energy and data projects to take this to the Supreme Court. I cannot speak for, I'm speaking for myself on behalf of just me as citizen Sunny Danforth. But as a member of Blue Mountain Alliance, I strongly suggest that this be taken to the Supreme Court. Now, the Board of Commissioners I'm on our County Planning Commission. And as the chair there, we had a discussion about this just last week at our meeting. And it was very much people there, our planning commissioners felt it best to also fight this to the Supreme Court. Why do we have rules? Why do we have laws if we're not defending them? And then to have, like I mentioned earlier, a state agency wanting to just bypass that. It's not right. So thank you for your time. I won't take any more. I do appreciate this very much. And thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Any questions or comments?
No, I think that's very well
Yeah,
articulated.
Sunny made great points.
Thank you. All right. Let's move into our agenda. The first item on the agenda today is the Justice Reinvestment Grant.
Thank you again, you two.
Bye.
What's before the board is a request to approve the 23-25 Justice Reinvestment Grant application and approve a letter of support. This has been I don't know how many years this has gone on for, but this is a renewal, and it does require a board approval for the application.
Any questions, comments, motion?
Yeah, I move to approve the grant application and authorize the chair to sign a letter of support.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is from Administrative Services, a payable for the ballot reader maintenance. Good morning.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. There goes IT. Dan, we don't have, okay.
Nope, you're cutting
You're
out.
cutting in and out, Dan.
Maybe turn your video off. Yeah, it's on. Looking at it.
Oh. Yep.
Mr. Chair, I'd move. Oop. Go ahead, Dan, I cut you off, sorry. With that, Mr. Chair, I move approval, we sign payable for election system software in the amount of $10,442.25.
Second?
There's been a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes. The next item is also yours, Dan, for the envelope printing.
Yes, so before.
Thanks, Dan. Entertain a motion?
Well, I want to comment, if people knew how much money it costs to put on an election, maybe they would participate more.
Wish they would.
Yeah. Dan, can you tell us how many people in this last election voted? Do you have a percentage on that?
Out of 36 counties, where do we rank? Yeah, 12.6%. I'm gonna guess 36 maybe?
Okay.
Same. I wrote Jim Littlefield in for a lot of things, so.
Entertain a motion.
Okay. I move to approve and sign the attached payable to BMS Technologies in the amount of $7,119.05.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Next item is a two-part action request. So the first one is for the antivirus quote. Second is for the payment of the remaining amount after July 2023. So Dan, this is on you also. So we have two, so the first and then the second.
So Jim,
Thanks, Dan. This is 2 separate years, so 2 separate actions. So the first action is for the $13,346.
Mr. Chair, I move approval on the $13,346. Is that 80 cents? Is that what it is?
8, I don't know.
Okay. For the antivirus, I approve that.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Now the next is for next year's budget, and that's for the amount of $16,267.
Okay. I move to approve payment of next year's antivirus quote, $16,267 after July 1st, 2023.
Second.
Been a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thanks, Dan. Next is Jim, our Under Sheriff Littlefield, on the renewal of the Cortico Shield Wellness app.
Good morning, Commissioners. Jim Littlefield, Under Sheriff, Umatilla County Sheriff's Office. We have a request today for the renewal of our subscription to this Cortico Shield Wellness app. For some background, in 2022, Sheriff Rowan was at a conference and got some information about the app, and it's in cooperation with Lexipol, which we've talked about Lexipol before in meetings, and they're the leader in the industry in policy and procedure development for law enforcement and public safety, and they developed this app in cooperation with some of the industry leaders like Dr. David Black and Dr. Kevin Gilmartin. And it really is a program that is a mobile app which is available 24/7, 365 to our staff and their families to help them through any mental health, wellness, physical health. There are several modules that deal with providing support to them. Gordon Graham, of course, is the founder of Lexipol. John, familiar with Gordon Graham and his risk management work. Very well developed application. It's available for police, fire, EMS, and there are many agencies across the country that participate in this app. So in 2022, we got a quote for the app. It was a $15,000 cost. I applied for a grant with Good Shepherd Foundation, and our good friends there at Good Shepherd provided us with half the cost. So we funded the first year of the app, half through Good Shepherd Foundation grant, and then we paid the rest to our operating budget. Since then, we placed the amount to renew into our budget for this year, so it's already covered in our operating budget, the cost this year would be a $15,000 renewal fee. And so we're requesting that a picture is worth 1,000 words. So if I can just show you a little bit of the app on my phone, IT has set us up with a device here that I can just plug in and share my screen with you. It kind of gives you an idea what staff are looking at when they log into the app and when they participate in the app. So hopefully this works. We tested it yesterday and it worked great.
It's like you broke it.
On there.
There it is.
So this is, we've worked with Courthouse to develop our own app for agency specific to the sheriff's office. We purchased the app in April of 2022. We launched it in July of 2022. And so this is what it looks like when our folks go on the screen. And it is a list of all the resources that are available. Particularly popular are the Deputy Wellness Toolkit, and here are some of the resources that the app provides to our staff on all of these topics. And it's pretty extensive. And so without going through all of them, these are some of the resources that are available to our apps 24/7, 365.
PTSD, would you click on that and is that, what is, and if it's gonna show anything that I don't need to see, then don't click on it by any means, but.
So there's an overview, a self-assessment, and some of these other topics that are available to staff for this particular topic. So you can see it's very extensive. We have the featured resources. There's a crisis line, a peer support module, which has a list of people that are involved in our peer support teams, our chaplaincy programs, and some other items there.
So when you go to the chaplain, is that our local chaplains?
It is, yeah. It has a number for Chaplain Geiger, and to contact her, there's a link to contact her right away. There's a module for suicide prevention, and as we know and talked about before, that suicide is prevalent in public safety. In some years, there's been more suicides than officers killed in the line of duty, and I think last year was one of those. So anything we can do to help prevent that, there's some crisis lines here, there's Cop Line, and some other resources. So again, without going through all of the things in the app, you can see that it's very extensive. This is Chaplain Geiger's information for chaplaincy support. We have peer support and a bunch of other things. Dr. Gilmartin has been in the business for 30-some years. His book, Emotional Survival for Public Safety, is one of the best sellers in public safety. We hand it out to our staff when they come on duty with us. We hand them a copy. His work is unparalleled in public safety. And there's information on weight loss, physical fitness. There's even some financial advice that are available for staff. So it is an extensive app, and but I wanted to show you. I couldn't explain all this in words, so.
Thanks.
One of my favorite quotes from Gordon Graham is, if it's predictable, it's preventable.
That's correct, yeah. And so we have participation from our staff has been pretty extensive. While it's an anonymous app, we can get information from the company on the number of downloads, the number of module visits that our staff has. And so from July of 2022 through April of this year, we've had 98 downloads. So 98 of our staff have downloaded the app. And then
98 out of how many?
we have about 140 total. That's full-time, part-time volunteers. So about 100 of those have downloaded the app itself. And they visited the app over 400 times and visited the various modules almost 900 times during that period. And so we can tell that they're using it, and we hope it's a good resource, and we want to continue with the subscription. So that's what we have before us today.
The only question I have is, did you guys go back to Good Shepherd to see if they'd participate again?
We didn't this year, no. We had it budgeted in for this year, so that could be something if we want to keep, continue to fund it. The cost is based on the number of staff for each individual agency, so our cost is set. They haven't raised it, so we're fortunate in that regard.
And you budgeted for that, you said?
Yeah, it's in our, this fiscal year's budget. It'll be funded. 3 of our primary divisions have a $5,000 wellness line item in their budgets that is already there.
Mr. Chair, approve renewal of the annual subscription for Courthouse Shield Wellness App in the amount of $15,000.
Second?
Been a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you. Next is Umatilla County Sheriff's Office uplift of the evidence pickup. For $12,254.59. I don't see anyone online.
The undersheriff's coming back.
This is a request to upfit I think it's the Chevy pickup for our evidence tech.
Silverado.
We required one from the county, but it still needs upfitting, and we went out to get quotes from several different companies. Lieutenant Roberts went to Raycom, Day Wireless, UCFD1 has a person who does it, and this other company, Vehicle Lighting Solutions, who is upfitting some of our other cars, and the cost is $12,254.59 to upfit the vehicle, and we're requesting to approve that.
Thank you.
And we just got the quote today on Raycom, and it was close to 17,000.
Oh, you guys did good.
That makes this motion even easier.
Yeah.
I move to approve the upfit of a 2023 Chevy Silverado by VLS in the amount of $12,254.59.
Second.
Been a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank
Pass along my thanks to Lieutenant Roberts, because it sounds like it was $5,000 cheaper than one Doug just referenced, so.
Washer dryer purchase, Mark.
Morning, Commissioners. Mark Tanner, Facilities Manager at Umatilla County. Before you is the purchase for the new washers and dryers for the jail. We went out to bid for this, and the bid is $96,119.78.
The bid.
How many washers and dryers are there?
2 washers, 4 dryers. And these new washers are the latest technology, and it should cut the drying time in half. They spin so fast. So it should be a lot of energy savings.
You get free soap with it?
I wish.
I guess I guess the one good news piece of this is it did come in under 100,000, which was what you thought that it might be, so.
Okay. I move to approve the purchase of the washer and dryer units to Dynamic Sales and Service in the amount of $96,119.78.
Second.
Been a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Mark. Next is maintenance payable.
Yeah, this was already done on an emergency. We lost a unit at the health department, and this is the bill for it for $8,745 in Murphy's Heating.
Is that on the new heating? Is that on the new HVAC or is that on the original one?
That's original.
That's on the original.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I just want to make a comment is that I cornered Mark about getting a part instead of, because that's kind of the way I roll. And we talked about it extensively. and decided that in long term, this would be a better option than trying to get a part for a machine that they probably don't make parts for anymore. And so, I just think that, I just wanted to say thank you to Mark for looking at that option and deciding that this was the best way to go. Second.
And a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Public health purchase.
Joe told us he wouldn't be on.
No, he said he wouldn't be on, and he explained this to us, Doug. So at the staff meeting, you want to touch on it real quick?
Yes, I do, because, let me get the new quote on that. Sorry about that. I printed it out and I left it behind.
Oh, from the NASPO contract?
Right, not the NASPO. This is
the Oregon one.
This is under, there is a QRF, which is a Qualified Rehabilitation Facility in Oregon that does provide these. And it is mandatory that we buy them from them.
Yeah, you heard that.
And so based on that, we weren't aware of this until after this Pinky was put together. So they got quotes on one of them, and it was, well, it was substantially cheaper, $21,000.
Okay.
But they were a year out. So they were going to get another quote for another one for 45 days replacement. So that was the intent, but we're not supposed to get the quote until later today.
You want us to table this?
Well, the thing about this is that they do need the AEDs purchased by the end of this fiscal year for the health department. And the one at the courthouse, we've learned, is over 10 years old. And so we do need to get that replaced. So the request is to go ahead and approve the purchase of 16 new AEDs from the required provider up to $33,000. It should be cheaper than that.
Yes,
Yeah, okay. So up to $35,000 if you
So
can
my
approve.
question is this, if the one that we're required to purchase them from comes in higher than the 33,000 figure,
Yes,
are we still required to buy them even though it's more money?
yes. If there's a QRF, you have to buy from them regardless. You can negotiate sometimes the price, but if they meet our specifications, then yes. I mean, like say if we really needed one within now, which we sort of do, but we have a little bit of time, then we might be able to go with another provider. But it looks like they can meet our specifications.
QRS or, yeah, exactly that.
It's our janitor too, is that way.
The other thing is we added, I don't know if you talked to Joe this morning, but we did add a couple for the fair.
Oh, so they'd be up to 18?
I don't remember if it was 14 went to 16 or 16 to 18.
I thought he came in with 16 yesterday.
Yeah, and so we asked for two more because.
So it'd be up to
Yeah,
18
35,000.
AEDs, okay. So if you could just approve the purchase of up to 18 new AEDs, not to exceed 35,000, that'd be
Perfect.
great.
You understand the motion, everybody?
I can make that motion easily.
Okay.
Unless Cindy wants to
No,
talk
go ahead.
about hers. Okay. So, Mr. Chair, I'd move approval for the purchase of up to 18 AEDs from Public Health, not to exceed $35,000.
Second.
Been a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
And just so Cindy knows, that's coming out of the modernization funds. Okay, okay.
They're going to have to go back at the end of the fiscal year if we don't spend them.
So, crisis communication workshop. This is, again, out of the modernization fund from Umatilla County. You want me to do this?
Yes, please,
Umatilla
because you
County
have more
Health.
background.
Through emergency management to help support the communication crisis workshop that is starting tomorrow. So,
Actually, it starts today.
today, yeah, the introduction, so. So I'll leave it at that.
I would move approval of payment of $10,000 to support additional costs associated with the crisis communications workshop.
Second.
The only thing I'm gonna ask on this is that, if you guys don't mind an amendment, that all reimbursement is by receipts and invoices.
Okay.
I have no problem with that.
That's-
There's been a motion, a second, and an amendment. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is the reader board purchase from Public Works, and I can handle that if you want me to. Public Works is looking for the authorization to purchase 2 VCMs variable message boards in the amount of $28,124.30. This will go with the minimal one that they have now, because they are getting ready to start chip sealing. They will be using the emergency management one for a through traffic issue that we're having now on Edwards Road that will free up the one that they do have while they wait for these two for the chip seal projects.
You know, we just had a rig get hit on 395 right here in our county, so I'm okay with this purchase.
Yeah, I am too. I think people pay attention to these. I move to authorize the purchase of 2 VCM signs with mounts from Lightsys Inc. in the amount of $28,124.30.
Thank you.
I did second
There's
that.
a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'm
Person safe.
Yeah.
Like Wilson.
Isn't that the truth?
The next item on the agenda is the approval of the PacWest lobbying for the West End Development Group. For background on that, that's a contribution that is matched by the other municipalities in the West End to lobby for issues in the end, things like the economic development zone, EZ zones, those type of things. Any questions or comments?
I move approval.
I just want to comment, they're obviously doing a great job. There's a lot happening over there. Second.
There's been a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The next item on the agenda is very similar, only it's for the Pendleton Development Group that is, again, a split expense, only for a different lobbying firm, Oxley.
That's the one that did Farm 2 and the jail renovation.
Yep.
So, very successful contract there.
Okay.
I move approval on that one as well.
A second.
Been a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next item on the agenda is,
If the board, we apparently had 2 sheriff's office purchases and one's on, one isn't. And the request is to add this one. It's the CHL card printer and it's
Fingerprint machine.
fingerprint.
Sorry, it's light.
Well,
we did the car, I was gonna say we did.
I'm reading this.
Am I,
So
okay, I apologize, maybe I
It's,
forgot. I'm doing this on my phone also, so let me pull it.
it's approved purchase of a new CHL fingerprint machine for $5,600. They tried to get quotes from different companies, but only one responded. It includes a 12-month warranty at $5,600. And for this amount, it doesn't require multiple quotes, only if they're available. So the request is to approve the purchase of the new machine, fingerprint machine.
So this is in addition to the agenda.
It is,
Okay.
we thought it was already, they thought it was already on and it
I
wasn't.
apologize, I thought it was under the sheriff's office purchases until we went by it, and it wasn't, so.
I wonder why you're hanging out with us.
I know.
Quick question on that.
Yeah.
We approved the copy machine last time, CHL copier. And there is a backup. Are we still just doing this in Pendleton, or are they, can you
Correct.
schedule and do it in?
We're only doing it in Pendleton.
Okay. So the fingerprint machine in Hermiston is strictly for other issues?
I'm assuming
if you
you're
went
referring
in
to
and
the
got-
fingerprint machine in the state courts.
Yeah, the
So,
one that the sheriff
so yeah,
operates.
state courts, that's purchased through a grant through the state courts, and that has to do with criminal fronts.
Okay,
So totally different.
okay, because people have been making appointments to get,
In Hermiston.
yeah.
So that would be, they're probably through, so prior to COVID, they could do, public fingerprints for like employment purposes, like working for school,
Gotcha.
things like that, for
Okay.
backgrounds.
That makes
And I think
sense.
they just opened that back up. again.
Gotcha.
That's what it is, yeah.
Okay.
It's separate.
Thank you.
But just so that it's in your ears, later we're gonna be talking about fingerprints for criminal over on that side as well. And anyway,
Okay,
it's a lot of fingerprinting going on. Law requires it,
too
so.
much. Okay, we don't have a pinky on that, so I'm gonna read back. The motion is for a CHL fingerprint machine for $5,600, and I will entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Thank you.
Thank you, Doug, I appreciate it. Sorry about that, throwing you under the bus there. Thank you, commissioners.
Thank you. So the next is the treatment court payable.
Okay, this is coming before the board because of the dollar amount. This is for training. This is normally, it's part of the grant budget that they do for the treatment court, and that allows for training, and this is the registration fee for the training. And there is one county employee going, as well as multiple state court employees. And this is just the registration for it.
Do you know where this is?
Yes, it's in Texas, I believe, this year.
Ben, any questions or comments? Motion?
I would love more information on this. I mean, I will make a motion, just, I will make a motion to approve the payable to NADCP in the amount of $5,370. But just as a side note, I would love to know, what they learn, or, just have some feedback on this.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes. The next item is a payable to Wild Horse, the amount of $17,074.92.
This is from the district attorney's office. This relates to the, let's see.
Is this
The
part of the
regional
20,000
child
we already
abuse,
approved?
right.
Okay.
But this one, they wanted to let you know that at this point, the costs of the conference were $34,000, of which $12,000 is going to be paid by a juvenile grant. The Guardian Care Center is picking up the scholarships, the supplies, and other items for approximately $5,000. And what's left are the food items, and that's primarily what this payable for, is $14,000. And that is going to be paid out of the fees that were collected. So at this point, the $25,000 that was allocated has not been touched and doesn't appear to be for this year. But they are going to keep it for next year's.
Sure they are. But
no, at this
I call
point,
that a success.
yeah, the total costs were about $34,000, and the collection fees more than paid these expenses here. They're about $22,000 for the fees collected.
They had so many people register for that, I mean, they set, a limit of what they thought they were gonna have, and registrations started pouring in, and they just went through the roof. They've already got the date set for next year.
Next year, yeah.
Yeah, that
That's
was a
amazing.
huge
It
success.
is.
That's just, big hats off to the whole crew on that one.
Mr. Chair, I would move approval for the payable to Wild Horse Resort in $17,074.92.
Second.
Been a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. You want to handle the next one too?
Yeah, the rest of them are all mine.
Okay, perfect.
What's coming before the board is for requests to reappoint Cindy Harvey to the West Umatilla Mosquito Control District Board of Trustees. Her term has expired. She's willing to serve again, and so the appointment, the order would reappoint her for another 4-year term.
Go ahead.
Okay. I move to adopt order number VCC 2023-023.
Second.
Before we vote, there was a question yesterday. Are those term limited?
Apparently not.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, let's.
Don't mess with it.
I checked on that. This is on her 3rd term.
Okay. There's been a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. At this time, I'm going to open up a public hearing. And the hearing is to set the second reading of ordinance number 2023-05. It's a fee ordinance item. Do I need to read everything?
I'll go through them if you want me to.
Thank you.
Thank you. What's before the board is the annual updates for the fees charged for county services by its departments. At this point, there are, I think, 5. There will be additional ones coming. The first one is coming from the Records Department, and they want to increase their passport photo fee from $13 to $15. This is to cover the additional costs, and is also, looks like, the same fee that is being charged by other counties. The GIS services are deleting fees that are no longer needed or duplicated, but they are asking for an increase to photos for 24-inch by 24-inch from $10 to $15, a GIS data set from $15 to $30 each, and a partition plat and the subdivision review fee from $50 to $100. From the Administrative Services Department, also from the former Board of Property Tax Appeals, is now going to be called the Property Value Appeals Board. And as a result, the changes are to update the name, delete the fees that are no longer provided. Public Health Department has an extensive list of fees that they will be presenting. That'll be at the second reading, and I'll go through those at that point. And then the Sheriff's Civil Division requests to delete the ATV permit, since that is no longer, that permit is no longer possible. And so that's the first reading, and the request is to schedule this for the second meeting in June for the second reading.
Entertain a motion. Come out of public meeting.
And you just need to schedule the second board meeting, or second reading,
The reading will be scheduled for the second meeting in June.
which is, what is the date in June?
Give me 1 second.
Is it the
21st.
21st?
Hold it, I think that's right.
And
Didn't we move that?
I think we did.
while they're looking at that, Doug, on page 3, I think I need to
I believe it has been updated.
Okay,
I'm
mine
sorry
says-
about that, yeah.
That's
it's
okay.
Yes, it has been
No, we moved
updated.
it to 21st. We're good there, yeah.
I will-
Sorry about that.
That's okay. I'm not offended at all.
Why are we moving it from the 14th? It's the first and third, right? Oh, no, that's not the third. Never mind. I see, I was looking at May 31st. I'm like, well.
I know, I did the same thing when I was first looking at mine.
Yeah.
So, we're out of public hearing and back, so I'll entertain a motion to set the date for June 21st for the
Do
second
we need
hearing.
to make a motion on that, or just?
Oh, you can establish it, but you might ask, did you ask for public comment?
I did. All those, before we go out of the open public hearing, anybody opposed first to the motion? Hearing or seeing none, anybody in favor of the motion? Hearing and seeing none, any neutral? Hearing and seeing none will come out of public hearing.
Thank you.
Always a stickler for the rules.
I'll entertain a motion to set the date for June 21st for the second hearing, or second reading of the ordinance 2023-05.
So moved.
Second.
Been a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda.
Yeah, we're going to finance to do the public hearing on supplemental budgets.
Supplemental budgets, public hearing.
Okay, and since, yes, finance is not in the county, they asked me to do this, so.
Okay, we'll go back into a public hearing to address budget transfer items,
Actually, first up are supplemental
or
budgets.
supplemental budgets.
And there are 13 proposed supplemental budgets scheduled for consideration. The 13 are Budget Order 2023-107 for the Economic Development Reserve Program. It's requiring a supplemental budget to appropriate funding not known at the adoption of the budget. This proposal has an increase in transfers in of $1 million and an increase in material and services of $1 million. For Budget Order 2023-110 for Subcontracted Services Program, this is to appropriate funding not known at the adoption of the budget. It is for an increase in state revenue of $700,000 and an increase in material and services of $700,000. For Budget Order 2023-113, Economic Development Reserve Program is for a supplemental budget to appropriate funding not known at the adoption of the budget. It is for an increase in transfers in of $1 million and an increase in materials and services of $1 million. For Budget Order 2023-114 for the Facilities Reserve Program is to appropriate funding not known at the adoption of the budget. It is for an increase in transfers in of $1.5 million and an increase in capital outlay of $1.5 million. For Budget Order 2023-115, the Foreclosed Properties Program is to appropriate funding not known at the adoption of the budget. It requires an increase in local revenue of $80,000 and an increase in materials and services of $80,000. For Budget Order 2023-116 for the Tax Collector is to appropriate funding not known at the adoption of the budget. It requires an increase in local revenue of $10,000 and an increase in materials and services of $10,000. For Budget Order 2023-117 for the GIS is to appropriate funding not known at the adoption of the budget to increase state revenue of $13,000 and an increase in materials and services of $13,000. For Budget Order 2023-118 for the Health Department to appropriate funding not known at the adoption of the budget. This is to increase local revenues of $10,000, state revenues of $80,000, personal services of $90,000, and material and services of $98,000, and a decrease in contingency of $98,000. For Budget Order 2023-117 for the Corrections Assessment Program to appropriate funding not known at the adoption of the budget is for an increase in beginning cash of $12,000 and an increase in transfers out of $12,000. For Budget Order 2023-128, a local improvement distribution fund to appropriate funding not known at the adoption of the budget. This is increased local revenue of $5 million, increased material and services of $4 million, and an increase in contingency of $1 million. For Budget Order 2023-129 is for the DMIP Sheriff Special Program Fund to appropriate funding not known at the adoption of the budget. It's for an increase in local revenue of $5,000 and an increase in materials and service of $5,000. For Budget Order 2023-130 for the Fleet Management Fund to appropriate funding not known at the adoption of the budget is to increase transfers in of $200,000 and increase in capital outlay of $200,000. And finally, for Budget Order 2023-135 for the Public Land Conservation Corner Preservation Fund to appropriate funding not known at the adoption of the budget is for an increase in a beginning cash balance of $60,000 and an increase in materials and services of $60,000.
Thank you. Who wants to,
I can.
okay.
Before you get to that one, you want to ask for public comment?
Yes, I do.
It's on our way there.
Yeah, I would like to ask if public comment on any of the supplemental budget items that have just been read. Hearing none and seeing none, I'll close public comment.
Thank you.
I move to adopt order number 2023-107.
Second.
Been a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye. I move to adopt order number 2023-110.
Second.
Been a motion and a second. Aye.
Aye. I move to adopt order number 2023-113.
Second.
Been a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye.
I move to adopt order number 2023-114.
Second.
Been a motion and a second.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Okay, did you second that too?
I'll try to keep this straight. I move to adopt order number 2023-115.
Second.
Been a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye. I move to adopt order number 2023-116.
Second.
Been a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye. I move to adopt order number 2023-117.
Second.
Been a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye. I move to adopt order number 2023-118.
Second.
Been a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye. I move to adopt order number 2023-127.
Aye, there's a second.
There's been a motion and a second. All those in favor?
I move to adopt order number 2023-128.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye. I move to adopt order number 2023-129.
Second.
Been a motion and a second. All those in favor?
I move to adopt order number 2023-130.
Second.
Been a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye. I move to adopt order number 2023-135.
Second.
Been a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Cindy. And John, the last item on the agenda is the budget transfers.
Okay, there are four budget transferred scheduled for your consideration today. The four are Budget Order 2023-131 for the Local Improvement Distribution Fund to appropriate funding not known at the adoption of the budget. This requires an increase that transfers out of $200,000 and a decrease in contingency of $200,000. Budget Order 2023-132 for the Capital Purchase Management Fund to appropriate funding not known at the adoption of the budget. This requires an increase in materials and services of $20,000 and a decrease in contingency of $20,000. Budget Order 2023-133 for Unitary Assessment Fund to appropriate funding not known at the adoption of the budget. It's for an increase in materials and services of $30,000 and a decrease in contingency of $30,000. And finally, for Budget Order 2023-134 for the General County Program to appropriate funding not known at the adoption of the budget. This requires an increase in materials and services of $155,000 and a decrease in contingency of $155,000.
Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Approval of Budget Order 2023-131.
Second.
Been a motion and an approval. All those in favor?
Aye.
Move approval for Budget Order 2023-132.
Second.
Been a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Move approval of Budget Order 2023-133.
Second.
Been a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Move approval of Budget Order 2023-134.
Been a motion and a second. All those in favor? All those in favor? Thank you.
Thank you.
We've all made a mistake on at least one, so we got ahead of ourselves.
Any additional comments from the commissioners?
I am good.
Seeing none, hearing none, meeting's adjourned. Sorry, Mark.
You're fine.